After some technical difficulties, we finally made it. So, without any further ado, I'll dive in. I'm really excited to join with my colleagues. My name is Nabil Khan, and I manage the mortgage division on the GTR West End. And I'm really happy to join by two of my very expert colleagues, Chris Ayorias, who manages the one market and kind of responsible of the eastern part of the business for mortgages, and Reza Shore. Reza is a good friend, but whenever I talk about Reza, I don't think I've seen anybody like Reza in the builder space who knows this much information. So I thought these two guys, gentlemen, first of all, thank you very much for joining and taking the time out for your evening. For the audience is, as we just talked about, a lot of real estate agents, a lot of lawyers and accountants, and a lot of general public as well who would like to hear. So without any further ado, an informal coffee conversation we'll do for the next 15-20 minutes. And I'll start with Chris. I'll go to you, and then I'll come to Reza. So Chris, I mean, what's happening in mortgage market? What's this interest rate? And just quickly touch base.
Absolutely. First off, for Nabil, let me say thank you for having me. Always a pleasure to have a fireside chat with you and Reza, right? And I do appreciate the time that you put into this, right? So thank you for that. I would just say that things are definitely a bit challenging times than we're used to before. Rates have really skyrocketed, which has kind of slow down the market for us on the real estate side. But we're optimistic that as time goes on, hopefully with inflation stabilizing, the rates will start to come down a bit and to be a little more realistic for us. We know we've gone from extreme lows to extreme highs, right? So probably the sweet spot's somewhere in the middle. And we think that as time goes on, the market will start to ignite and get back to normal. We do have to remember a couple of things. We do have a shortage of homes in Canada, which is one. And second, even if we're looking at the interest rates that are fairly high in 5.5%, whatever the case may be at this time, the price of the homes have dropped considerably. So when you look at if you were buying a home in February and the rates were at 3%, and now that you're buying the home for cheaper, and now the rates are closer to 5.5%, the monthly payment has balanced out, fairly close, right? So, not huge concerns. We just have to be able to weather the storm and then be ready to to buy when the time's right.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to come back to you in a few minutes, and I'll share my thoughts and what's going to happen. But before I do that, Reza, pre-construction businessman, what's happening in this world? And I don't think there's anybody else I know who can comment on this better than you. So just walk us through a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you can hear me.
A little bit cut off here and
Can
there,
you
but we can hear
hear
you.
me? So
Yeah.
it was to have that problem with this. I'll tell you what I'm seeing right now. Right now, interesting time. Very when you're seeing on the resale side has not really dropped much in price. Look at the pre-construction side. You have to remember a number for construction purpose. You have to remember construction costs are only development charges. If you assembly land purchases, labor short costs are not going down. They're going to continue to try. We have a shortage of homes here. We had before was we had the formula for a very hot market where supply limited supply. And what you're seeing is and try to meet that supply issue. Homes were behind right now in Canada. We have and we still have a massive support. I know we're all looking at this I called that curve, the cyclical curve there. We're looking at the selling buy. Realistically,
Reza, sorry to cut you off. I think Danny is also saying the same, and I'm feeling the same thing. You're cutting in and out a little bit, so I don't know what that is. But I'm gonna come to Chris in the meantime, Reza, because you're cutting in and off. So I'm just gonna come to Chris for a second. before you can figure this. I want you, because you're saying some important stuff. I know what you're talking about, but I want everybody to hear that. So just try to fix a little bit on that end, right? So Chris, I think Reza is logging back and in and forth, right? So um, appraisals, what are you seeing now? You're covering the Vaughan and the eastern part of the business a lot, right? Um, the question which I've been asked all the time, are appraisals coming or what's happening at that end?
We haven't had too much noise, Nabil, to be honest. In on the appraisal side, it looks like the appraisals are coming in at fair market value. So we haven't had too many instances where we've seen some major gaps that we haven't been able to address. So at this point, appraisals seem to be coming in fine. In some cases, we may be winning a little bit because they're being appraised a tad higher than what the purchase price is.
Okay, so appraisals are coming fine. I just had so I did a seminar today as well, and a lot of people asking this question about qualification rate. So I'm going to share my perspective on this in a second, but I want to hear from you and for the audience that a lot of people saying qualification rate has gone up, and I don't want to buy now. So, but at the same time, what I'll see that the mortgage amount has dropped because the
Yeah.
prices have dropped, right? So does it make sense to go in the market in your opinion?
I think, in my opinion, it does, Nabil. You know, if you're looking to get in the market, let's be honest. It's very hard to time the market. You know, be it the real estate market, be it the stock market. It's very hard to time the market. So I think if you have clients or individuals who are interested in being homeowners, and they find the home that they want, as long as they can qualify for it this time, I would definitely encourage them to buy. Right now, the concern's all about the rate. The rates might come down in a couple of years. So maybe clients, they don't take a 5 year, maybe they take a 4 year, they take a 3 year, 2 year, whatever the case may be. But definitely, if the income is there and the ability is there, I would not wait. And with the market being tough right now, it's even better opportunity for someone to buy. Maybe you can negotiate a better price on a home. Prices have dropped, so I would definitely encourage anyone to get in.
Yeah, so I'll share my perspective on it because I happened to do a seminar today, Chris, where a lot of people are asking me a question about qualification rate is higher, right? But I think what I want folks to understand that if the qualification rate has gone higher, at the same time, the values of the home have dropped.
Absolutely.
So what that also means that the amount is lower. So in our world, if we see common sense, if there's lower the amount, even though the qualification rate is higher, but the chances of getting the mortgage approval is done. And what really happened, Chris, now Reza is also coming in. People just see the news when they wake up in the morning. They see TRAB and they think, okay, the values have dropped and yada yada, right? But all of a sudden, what they forget is the values of the home has also been dropped, right? I mean, people just say 30% sales from TRAB compared to last year, but at the same
Yeah.
time, 70% of sales are still happening. So it's still a decent size of market. Reza is back. Reza, can you hear us now?
I know. Is that better?
Say something now.
Does that sound better? Can you
Still
guys hear
cutting
me
out.
much better now?
Better than before, but seems like you're cutting off. I don't know what this seems like an internet problem, but I mean, you're say something now, Reza. Say a few words.
Hello? How real
I'm great.
estate?
But your internet needs to be good too, Reza.
Last time to me as well. I don't know what is going on. Yeah, I apologize, Nabil.
No, you don't have to. This is
Phone is working.
Reza. Why don't I do this? Why don't I bring you on my Instagram? If you want to come on Instagram, so you can talk to the Instagram audience if that's easy for you.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So let me,
It's shaking well right now.
because I think whenever I do with you, Reza, I think you're very clear on the Instagram, and I didn't open Instagram because Chris and I were here, but let me see if I can bring you on the Instagram. So have your Instagram open, Reza. I'm just going to stop you from here. So most probably you and I will be on Instagram session, and Chris and I will be probably here. So give me a second there. Apologies for the audience. So it's going to be very interesting because a couple of guys will be here, and Reza is going to join me on the Instagram. Okay, Reza, I have invited you. Let's see what happens if you can join me. Okay, so we're gonna. Reza, can you hear me now? Okay, so you're perfectly fine here. So, Chris, this is going to
Yeah.
be different because you and I will be going live on Instagram, no, sorry, on Facebook and LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and Reza, you and I will be live on Instagram. So, I hope both of sides can hear each other, and
I'm good.
hopefully that will be easier. Okay, Reza. So, hearing from you, why don't you share some light on the builder side, sir? Yeah. Okay, Chris, Reza. So I'm gonna repeat you. So, Chris, can you hear Reza? I don't know if you can. So I'm just gonna
I
repeat.
can. I can. It's late, but I can hear him, Nabil. I'm good.
Okay, so I want to make sure the audience can hear Reza at the same time because what Reza is saying that we have a inventory problem and the values have not dropped as much on the pre-construction side as they have dropped on the resale side, right, Reza? Okay, perfect. So for the I don't know if the LinkedIn audience or the Facebook audience have heard Reza, but what he's saying two things, which are the key point here that the values have not been dropped on the pre-construction side as much as they've done on the resale side, and the value of the material, what I've heard from Reza, has not been dropped as well, and hence the reason the pricing has been not dropped on the pre-construction side. So this is a very interesting a figure, Reza, you're also mentioning because we are starting to see two things, resale side and the business side on the pre-construction side. So I'm gonna repeat a few things I'm saying so both the audience can hear everything. Chris, I'm gonna come to you, and if you can speak a little bit louder so the audience can also hear on this side on Instagram. Um, do we what are you hearing and what are we hearing? The interest rate is gonna are they gonna go down? Where do we go from here?
Nabil, from my understanding, from what I'm hearing, we're probably looking at hopefully a small increase in the near future, right? And then after that increase, hopefully it's going to stabilize, and then maybe closer to March, we'll start to see things kind of come down slowly as long as inflation is stabilizing, right? So, but again, as far as the way the rates go for us and as clients, there's not much we can do to combat that. I want to go back to kind of, like, do we get in the real estate market, right? That's the key thing because I think for me, if you're trying to time the market, you can't. And the people who are on the shelf, on maybe waiting to buy, they may buy.
Right,
The market starts to come back up again. They might buy a little
right,
bit late, and then they're losing on that end too as well, right? So
yeah.
you just have to be cautious with that, in my opinion.
So I'll say this. So I happened to be at the seminar recently for economic activity, and what I picked up from a lot of the economists from Royal Bank and a lot of economists from Canada, they are, and I was just with my investment partners today who also hear a lot of word from the interest rate environment. They're predicting or they're thinking that another rate increase might come for now, right? And after that, no more rate increases are probably going to come in. At least that's what they're predicting. So what does that show us to me as an individual who work in the market? That we probably and Raza, I want you to comment on that in a second once I'm done. I'm thinking the market after the next rate increase, what I'm hearing, no more rate increase, and that's going to be a busier market going forward. Reza, would you feel the same thing? A busier spring in pre-construction market?
Yeah, I think that the market is going to. I think we've probably gone. There's probably one more increase coming. I think the reality is where the when you look at the Bank of Canada and where they're going right now with a lot of the rate increases, they're trying to get you know the bank is trying to get the Bank of Canada is trying to get us down to about 2%. The reality is it doesn't have to get there before they start lowering rates. They want to see the projection coming down. So once we see it coming down, and then they continue to see it coming down the right direction, and the rate increases are doing that, it's going to help out making that decision of stopping the increasing of the rates and kind of flattening out the market where we're at today, or where we'll be at probably tomorrow. Yes, I do agree there'll probably be another rate increase, but I do think that next year's market, there's a ton of amazing projects coming to the market. Um, and at the rate increase that I saw on price per square foot over the last 2 years, I think the pre-construction market is almost at a deal right now if you're buying something 4, 5, 6 years out, compared to what we've seen the last 2 years of the increase per square foot in the Toronto,
Wow.
Ontario market.
Wow. So, Chris, I don't know if you heard or the audience heard that Reza saying that this is a good deal even to pick up a property now in the pre-construction market, because honestly, from what I'm hearing for all of you, and you guys are experts in the market, and I know a little bit about the mortgage, but what I'm hearing is from everything together, this is a good time to be in the market to buy. That's what I'm hearing. Chris, would you agree?
I would agree with you, Nabil. It's just being comfortable with your mortgage payment, right? You have to when you're looking at when you're looking at clients or for myself, I'm looking at what the bottom line is. So what's the mortgage, the cost of carrying that mortgage on a monthly basis? So if I'm comfortable with that, rates being at 5, 6, or 2 or 3, whatever the case may be, I want to be invested in the market, right? So, and as long as you're not in a position where you're eager or you're in a position where you have to sell, and you can weather that storm. Then at the end of the day, you're still going to do well. If you buy a home today and you buy,
Good.
maybe let's say 100,000, 200,000 more than you want to spend. As time goes on, that value is going to increase. It's just it's a cycle of the real estate market, right? So, but the key thing is again, just
No, I'm hearing you.
yeah.
Yeah. No, so again, Reza, I don't know if you're able to hear Chris, but again, I'll kind of repeat a little bit here. So what Chris is saying, and what I also think at the same time, it's a good time to be in the market, because what you just said, Reza, is the pre-construction market is a deal. The rate increase is going to be one, and after that, no more rate increases might be. Where does it show us? I mean, Reza, you and I attended an economic event last week. We probably heard something similar. So I mean, for all the audiences, for all the buyers, and for the real estate agents, if you're active in the market, and this is a good time to be in the market, right?
Well, I'll say this: if you go back in real estate, and I think this is probably the best analogy I can give you, go to a house that you live in, or the house that you have, go back 50 years. I guarantee you, one way or another, you if you decrease the graph a little bit, you'll see a line that continues to go up. I think if you do the 100 years, you'll see the same thing. If you do 200 years, you'll see the same thing with real estate. Real estate's a great investment, especially in Canada. When you look at Canada as a market, Canada as a country, one of the best places to live. We've been awarded that many times in the past. There's a lot of advantages to being in Canada. Think of the real estate market in Canada as a cycle of 5 years. And within that cycle, there's a refresh time, and it refreshes. A lot of people are making a lot of value right now. There's a lot of great deals out there, whether it's pre-construction or it's on the resale side. There's a lot of great deals. Yes, interest rates are higher than they've been over the last few years, but they're not high to where they've been in the past.
Right.
And I know people will say, well, our incomes, and there's a ton of different discussions there. But I can tell you one thing: if you think it's expensive today, get ready. It's going to get a lot more expensive in the next few years.
I know. So it's funny, Reza. So Chris, I don't know if you heard him or not, but you can hear him, right? So I want to make
Yeah,
sure the
absolutely.
audience can hear him too.
Yeah.
So he said the same thing to us as well, and I almost had goosebumps because I feel things are expensive. But as I said, that if you think it's not expensive now, wait till you get expensive. And from an interest rate standpoint, and the purpose of us being here is to tell the audience that even though rates are higher, even though the market is hearing too much noise, all the indicators are telling us that we're still in a good spot. I mean, go back a few years ago. I mean, what were we paying? 12%, 18%? Oh, God knows. I don't even know. And I don't want to talk about it, but it was just too high. Let's call it too high, right? Let's call it too high. But right now, we're still talking 3-4%. And I think that's kind of normalizing. So,
Sure.
our pre construction expert, Reza, Chris, who's been doing it for many, many years, as I've known, I also think the same thing. Just don't get the news of interest rate only. Look underneath that. There's more to it. Chris, you want to say something on this?
I fully agree with you. I echo your comments, Nabil. I think the key thing is finding the right property, and also looking at what your costs are, right? So I think if you're comfortable with those costs, get in the market, and get in it as soon as possible. Because when it does
Yeah.
turn, it's going to be beneficial for everyone, right? So I mean, if you're
Amazing.
not if you're in a position where you're flipping homes, then it's a different story. And I'll leave that up to the investment gurus there, right? But
Mm,
if you're not, then I think it's a great time. You just have to
good.
manage which term are you looking for.
Good. So, Reza, I'll repeat it to you. So, Chris is saying that this is a great time to be, and I also agree with that because don't just look at the news of qualification rate. Don't just look at the news of interest rate. Look whatever here for whatever Reza has said, whatever the bank is also saying at the same time, and all of experts are saying. Just go underneath. If you're in the learn, if you're looking for a property, you might be finding a deal. And Chris also said on the other platform, Reza, is if you're looking for a flip flop, I mean, that's a conversation. Look, go for the investor gurus. But longer term properties, I think this is a good time. So, gentlemen, I'll try to bring it close. I know you have given your especially living away from your families to me and the audience. So I appreciate that. But Reza, I'll take final words from you, and then Chris will come to you after that. So Reza, any final words?
Yeah, I'm an advocate of this business. That the business of real estate, whether it's pre-construction, resale, construction, I'm an advocate of it, and I want the best for the business. I think at the end of the day, we're all in that business, making sure that people buy great homes from great builders and dealing with great banks like RBC. And I think that's the key message. Understand your financial needs, understand the end-to-end process, understand what you're purchasing. Have those discussions, whether it's with your real estate agent, with your banker, um, with the builder, whoever it is. Have those robust conversations. Understand what you're purchasing. Understand what the requirements are. And I think at the end of the day, find the best location. I've always been in the business of saying that it's always about location, location,
Right.
location.
Right.
The reality is as we look at this market, it's really those great, great locations that are continuing to thrive and do well. And I think they'll continue to do well in 2023. And even the areas that have opportunity, you have to look at those to see, okay, what opportunity is there? Is there employment opportunity, schooling opportunity? Again, knowing what your requirements are. Nabil,
Perfect.
thank you like always for having me on this call. Appreciate it. Chris, thank you as well.
No, Reza. I mean, you especially. So, I'll bring it back to Chris and what Reza has said that real estate is a good place. I think, and the purpose of all of us to quickly get together, just to let the audience know that don't just look at the interest rate news. Don't just look at the qualification rate only. Go underneath. And I think one of the great thing Reza has also said, there's a lot of in our platform, our social media platform, there are a lot of incredibly amount of good realtors engaged into it. Many of you are commenting on it, and I read that all the time. You're phenomenal, and that's why you are on our platforms. So, the audience, I would say that work with your real estate agent, make a decision, have a robust conversation, which you don't just see the property sign just or interest rate. Even with your mortgage professionals, if you're dealing with your mortgage professionals or builder individuals, have a great conversation before you sign any deal and ask questions if you have to. Chris, any closing comments for you?
Absolutely. I mean, I would agree with you, Nabil. I would just say, for all the clients or realtors, who are listening right now, it's very simple. Get your client to go get hopefully an RBC pre-approval, right? So the clients know exactly what they can afford. And then this way, they're comfortable with all the costs and whatever the case may be, right? So maybe at this current time, they have to, with the rate so high, they have to buy a little bit less of a home, right? But they're still in the home, in my opinion, right? So get that pre-approval done, so you know where your gauges are, right? And then you're good from there. And Nabil, just last I want to say is thank you for having me join this. This is fantastic. Always a pleasure to get together with you and Reza and chat about business. And just thank you so much. I really enjoyed it.
No, no, no. Thanks for coming on. I took your time away, and thanks for the audience as well, because I know the conversations were on two end, but I want to make sure we can capture. But the whole point of getting together, Chris, is we want the audience to know that everything is okay. It's not the world is not falling apart, right? I want people to hear from the experts. I mean, I don't want to call myself an expert, but Chris and I and Reza have been doing this for a long time, so we kind of sort of have some sort of idea that where this market is going, and it's not good. It's a great market, great place to be in. A lot of good deals available, so be active, work with your incredibly good partners, and everything will take care of itself. Chris, thank you for the listeners, and any questions you can always reach out to me. Chris, thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you later. Okay, thank you, sir.
Take care, Nabil. Thank
Talk to
you.
you soon.
We'll see you.
Bye. Bye.